I work as a night clerk at a supermarket. There are strange rules to follow. Have you ever worked a job where something just felt off? Not just the usual workplace weirdness, annoying customers, bad management, or soul-crushing hours, but something deeper, like an unspoken presence, something lurking just beneath the surface. You can't explain it, but you feel it. That's how I felt when I started my new job as a night clerk at a 24-hour supermarket. At first, I thought the worst part would be loneliness, the long, empty aisles stretching into silence. Maybe the boredom, the way the hours would crawl by like something trapped, suffocating under fluorescent lights. Or at worst, dealing with the occasional drunk customer looking for beer past midnight. I was wrong. There were rules, not regular store policies like stock the shelves or keep the floors clean. These rules were strange, unsettling. They didn't make sense. But one thing was clear. Breaking them was not an option. I got hired faster than I expected. No background check, no real questions. Just a brief meeting with the manager, an old guy named Gary, who looked like he had seen far too many night shifts. He sat behind the counter, his fingers tapping against the cheap laminate surface in a slow, steady rhythm. "The night shift is simple," he said, his voice low and tired. "Not many people come in. You stock the shelves, watch the security monitors. That's it." Seemed easy enough, until he reached under the counter, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and slid it toward me. "Follow these rules," he said, his tone sharper now. "Don't question them. Just do exactly what they say." I picked up the paper, expecting it to be a list of store policies, emergency procedures, closing duties, stuff like that. But as soon as my eyes landed on the first rule, something in my stomach twisted. Rules for the night clerk. If you see a man in a long coat standing in aisle 3, do not approach him. Do not acknowledge him. He will leave at exactly 2:16 a.m. If the phone rings more than once between 1 a.m. and 1:15 a.m., do not answer it. Let it ring. If a woman with wet hair enters the store and asks to use the restroom, tell her it is out of order. No matter what she says, do not let her go inside. Check the bread aisle at 3 a.m. If a loaf of bread is missing, immediately lock the front doors and hide in the break room until 3:17 a.m. Do not look at the cameras during this time. If you hear the sound of children laughing after 4 a.m., do not leave the register. Do not speak. Do not move until the laughter stops. I let out a short, nervous laugh before I could stop myself. "This a joke?" I asked, glancing up at Gary. He didn't smile, didn't even blink. His face remained unreadable, his eyes dark and sunken. "Not a joke, kid." His voice was flat. "Just follow the rules and you'll be fine." And with that, he turned and walked toward the back office, leaving me standing there, keys in hand, paper in my grip, my pulse thrumming like a warning bell. The first hour passed without incident. A couple of late-night customers drifted in, grabbed snacks, paid, and left without much conversation. The store was eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that made you hyper-aware of every flicker of the lights, every distant hum of the refrigerators in the back. I restocked the cereal aisle, wiped down the counters, kept an eye on the security monitors, expecting to feel ridiculous for worrying about a silly list of rules. Then at exactly 1:07 a.m., the phone rang. A sharp, mechanical chime cut through the silence. I froze. The rule flashed in my head. If the phone rings more than once between 1 a.m. and 1:15 a.m., do not answer it. Let it ring. But it was just the first ring. Maybe it was nothing. A wrong number. A prank. I reached for the receiver. My fingers brushed against the plastic. The line went dead. The ringing stopped. I exhaled, shaking my head. Maybe this was all just some weird initiation prank for new employees. Maybe Gary got a kick out of freaking people out. Then the phone rang again. 2 rings now. I stared at it. My hand hovered over the receiver. A cold feeling crept down my spine. What's the worst that could happen if I answered? Then, on the security monitor, something shifted. My breath caught in my throat. A man was standing outside the store, just barely out of view of the cameras. He wasn't moving. He wasn't pacing or looking at his phone like a normal person. He was just Standing there. The phone rang a third time. I backed away from the counter. My instinct screamed at me not to pick it up, and I didn't. I let it ring. The fourth ring. Then, silence. I exhaled. Tension still coiled tight in my chest. Slowly, I turned my eyes back to the monitors. The man outside was gone. For the next hour, nothing happened. Follow for part 2, P.